What if they aren't the real problem at all? Who are you fighting, and what is costing your soul to take on this fight? What if the chaos is designed to keep you disconnected from your own power? Are you strengthening your sovereignty or feeding something that's feeding on you, feeding on your fear?
Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Hello and welcome to Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith, your guide to living a soul-powered life. I want to invite you into the Facebook group called Soul Power Living, where we can continue the conversations that we start on this podcast. So join me for a discussion about the chaos around us right now and the fear this chaos is evoking. It's real, and you have powerful choices. Maybe some of them you don't know that you have. We are fighting them as best we can, and we are standing in our power. Or are we standing in our power? What is the best way to reclaim your soul power and not be divided by the chaos around you? Those are really provocative questions. We keep talking about them. We are fighting against them. We are trying to stand in our own power to beat them. We are told that they are dividing us so that they can conquer us. And I want to read you a quote that I found, and I really liked it, and I took a picture of it, so I'm reading it off of my phone. But historian Heather Cox Richardson reminds us that democracy doesn't collapse all at once. And because we can recognize the warning patterns from history, the future is still unwritten and shaped by what ordinary people do right now. And I want to talk to you um, from from that point of view, but kind of from the point of view from a spiritual perspective, from a soul perspective, because I feel like what she has to say is valid and good, and just like a diamond has many facets to it, I'm bringing in another facet on the same diamond. Um, so we're talking about they. Who are they? Who are they, really? Who actually are they that we are concerned about? We have labels. It could be the Democrats that we're concerned about. It could be the Republicans that we're concerned about. They're running the country. They're enforcing things that are causing us to have economic disrepair. Or maybe it's the billionaires that are kind of hoarding all the money, as we're being told. Those guys have everything, and we have 1% of it. Maybe it's the political leaders, not just in our country, but maybe it's all the leaders. Or maybe it's this conspiracy groups that kind of pull the strings in the background or force people to do things they don't want to do. Is it the corporations that have all come together to decide how they want the regular, ordinary people to live? Is it a shadow government? That's a government that we can't even see, that we're not even voting for. Every time we try to name them, the target shifts. We just want to go beyond what we're seeing, and then go beyond and go beyond that. They're there are so many layers to them and they and what's going on. Um, we can name names. We can name Peter Thiel or Stephen Miller, or we could name, I don't know who else has been floating across the news. Um, but we know that we're fighting against something. Something is causing this pressure on us. We know that there's a tremendous amount of pressure coming for us to fight against evil. I'll tell you that. Something to understand. to know something, to make things right about them. We just need to fix it, but we don't know it or them. Nobody has truly and clearly articulated or understood who we are fighting against or who they are. I don't know that we'll ever know. Maybe we'll never understand. Maybe there are so many negative forces out there. Maybe there are so many disparate forces out there wanting our attention, wanting us to be divided within our own selves, that there's no one thing to define us that we're fighting against. Now, isn't that just a rabbit hole? There's no one thing that we're trying to fix. As we try to fix something, it's so complicated. There are many tentacles that go out. But since we don't know who they are, if we keep going behind the they, you will always return to you. We will always return to ourselves. As in that quote by Heather Cox Richardson, is the ordinary people. It's up to the ordinary people to create what's new. And I'm going to talk more about that. So maybe it's just us. It's our strength. It's our soul connection to that benevolent higher power, to the creator. Maybe it's our own creativity, our own trusting ourselves, our listening to that quiet, small voice inside of us that knows what it's doing. Our soul always knows what to do. Maybe the fight is about allowing that part of ourselves to emerge and take over, and or that part of ourselves that we're going to give the keys to the car to, the keys to the kingdom go to our best and highest selves. And maybe the fight is that the keys to the kingdom are not in the hands of our best and highest selves. When we return to our strength, when we return to our connection, and we return to our sovereignty, um, we kind of start to understand, what if they is not a person part of your platform? What if they is the energy that keeps you reactive instead of creative? That could be anything, could be anyone. What if they is anything that disconnects you from your soul? Now remember that we all participated, we all co-created in what the reality that we're all experiencing together. This is a huge life lesson. This is a huge soul level lesson that we're learning. And who voted that person, and who agreed to this, and who, we all did it. Somehow we all did it together. And at some point we have to put the fingers down and look in the mirror. So when are the sensory, the crazy washing machine of emotions, when we are in this back and forth pressure that keeps these emotions up front, the fear, the negativity, the fighting against it, the wanting to fix it, we can't hear that voice within ourselves, that small, whispering, pervasive voice from our intuition, from our soul. We can't focus. We can't get clear. We're always fighting against them, the invisible them, some tidal wave of pain or some tidal wave of fear. And when you step away from those tidal waves and go into your solid self, connection to your soul, connected to the natural law, connected to source, and we start to use our creativity, we use our inner compass that's connected to our soul, that's when we can't get blown down those rabbit holes. We're no longer like the pins in the bowling alley waiting to get knocked over. That's when we're the strongest. And that's what I'm teaching you in these podcasts. That's what I'm teaching you when I talk about soul power living. That's what I'm facilitating within you, is that strength within your own self that only you can do and only you can create within yourself. Really, it's time, guys. Let's get this going on together. When you are in the washing machine of emotions, you cannot hear your soul. We are under a tremendous pressure right now, and I can't say that enough. You can't turn on the TV anymore. You can't turn on social media anymore. I try to look for those kittens and those funny goats and everything, and then I get some horrible thing that tells me how horrible life is in the moment. And I'm trying to stand up and beat them. I'm trying to find my inner power. And but then I feel like I'm being divided, so that and I'm divided from my friends, or from my lover, or from my kids. and I feel like I'm being conquered. I feel like I'm being divided so that the clear thinking is not only not within me, it's not within the people around me. And it's like, oh my gosh. But I want to invite you to take a pause for a moment and um, and just realize we don't really know who they are. We don't really know what we're fighting against. And we need to get back to who we are and what we want to create. Um, because this pressure to react and this pressure to choose sides and this pressure to fear or this pressure to defend something, it feels like a tidal waves of emotion that are connected to that pressure, fear, anger, pain, righteous, outrageous. This, how could this happen? You cannot hear the quiet inner voice that always know when we're reading the Epstein files. They're horrible and they're fearful and they're outrageous. And yet our soul is standing steady behind us, ready for us to connect into it, to calm ourselves. The soul does not panic. The soul is very old and it's been here around the block many more times than we can remember. But when you are emotionally hooked, you cannot access that wisdom. You can't get to that soul that's waiting calmly for you to reconnect to it. That is the real danger, not them. It's the disconnection within ourselves that we experience when we fight them. That's the real danger. So I want to share a story with you. I studied with Lori Williams in remote viewing. I don't know, it was decades, but I still go back and read the lessons or listen to her talk. And she studied under a fellow called Lynn Buchanan. I wish I had studied under him. He's well into his 80s now. And one of the stories that I listened to several interviews that she had with him, and one of the stories he shared was about his remote viewing a spacecraft that was hurtling through the atmosphere. And he felt the consciousness inside of it, and he felt feared it, and he felt sadness, and he felt regret. But he realized those weren't his feelings; those were the feelings of somebody inside of this craft that was hurtling through space, through the stratosphere down to Earth. And he realized he had connected to a non-human intelligence, um, which was amazing to him. He remote viewed the crash on Earth, and he remote viewed what happened after the crash. And then over time, since he now the door was open to him to realize that there was non-human intelligence kind of flying around the stratosphere, over time, through his work, he perceived that advanced beings observed humanity with curiosity. That we have a whole audience, guys. Why would we have a whole audience? Because we have something extraordinary within our DNA. And this extraordinary stuff we got in our DNA, not everyone's thrilled about us developing it and coming into our maturity. We are very young as a species, but our potential is immense as humans, as human beings. We have the ability to perceive across time and to imagine what does not exist yet, to create beyond current technology. We have the ability at some point in humanity's existence, we will go beyond the current technology. We always have gone beyond current technology, but we will even go beyond the high level technology of the beings that are watching us to access intuition and knowledge from a higher plane. We have that ability. Our spiritual maturity is still developing, and maturity requires sovereignty. It requires connection to your soul. It requires knowing who you are and not being slave to this washing machine stuff. So to get to this maturity, to get to open up these gifts that are hidden within our DNA requires moral development. Absolutely requires more moral development. It is timed, this DNA or this gift that we have gotten from the Creator is timed directly to our development in our morality and our understanding of the true natural law that was created by the Creator. And it requires an inner authority, not this make it up as you go stuff, but an inner authority that's connected to a higher power, that's connected to that natural law, which I do talk about here and there whenever I'm talking about spirituality, but that's a podcast for another day. Some steps and things to remember in this chaotic time. Positive self talk, always. Don't give in to the limiting negative self talk. Nurture your heart and your spirit with how you talk to yourself and how you treat yourself. I just want to take a minute and tell you I'm Nancy of Angelscapes. You can reach out to me at angelscapes.net. You can private message me through Facebook at Nancy of Angelscapes. And I also want to invite you to join my Soul Power Living group. I've been posting some spiritual tools and techniques for developing a connection to your soul. And I want you to if you're watching this podcast live, say hi, leave a comment. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube or a podcast platform, please like and subscribe so that I can grow my viewership. There's a lot of people have been watching quietly behind the scenes and getting a lot of value out of this. Many stories are coming my way, but I need you guys to like and subscribe so other people know I'm here. Thank you so much for that message. So, going to remember you are co-creating a new reality. And this time of chaos and big emotions are showing us how to do that. So school's in, guys. Are As you see things that you don't want in your community or the world, remember to focus on the positive, higher vibration situations you want to see in the world. Even if for now you're just dreaming about them, just daydreaming about these amazing things, at some point you will know when and what right action is your soul is calling you to do, and you will perceive that call very clearly from your soul. There'll be no doubt. So the step right now that many of us are taking is dreaming that existence, dreaming that world into existence is what I should say. It's existing on the dream stage. And when we're dreaming it, whether it's sleep dream or daydream or um, you just creating through your third eye or creating through some kind of perspective or some kind of, we can do this. If you could dream it, you could do it. I've heard that 1,000 times. I have to tell you, it's already existing in the heavenly plane. And the heavenly plane, as heaven on earth, as the thought form develops and grows, the last step of that thought form from heaven is to come into our dreams. Is to come into our fantasy world. Is to come into our thoughts. So if you're thinking about it, you actually are creating it. So that's a power. It's a choice of power. If you are listening to the fears and the reaction and living in your reactions, living in your emotions, you are creating, but you're creating what you're thinking about. So we need to all kind of pull together and start creating heaven on earth. That's why I call myself Angelscapes. Take breaks from the news and the social media and conversations that pull you into a place of division and despair. I have to take breaks, but then I have to go back and see how's my podcast doing or how my friends doing. But the breaks that I take is to not scroll, but continuously to just like limit I've scrolled for 20 minutes now. That's enough. And I also, taking breaks during the course of the day, I have certain times that I'll go onto the social media to check my material, my ads or my podcast or whatever I have done, see how they're doing, check in with my friends, and then I put it down. But I'm breaking the algorithms by not reading the horrible stuff. I want to know what's going on and I want to inform myself. But I have to say, one of the reasons I need to take breaks is there's so much information out there. We're at the age of information, and I don't trust a lot of it because a lot of the information back in the day when I was watching the news, when I was little and the news first started on the TV and I was like maybe 5 or 6, it was facts. There was some opinion and opinions started to like filter in more and more, but the facts were the most important thing to report on. And nowadays it's not that way. People are reporting on opinions and thoughts. He said, she said, this happened, this didn't happen. And that's not informing me. So when I have a sense, my intuitive sense or my soul sense that this is not informing me, this is distracting me, I move away from it as fast as I possibly can. And that's a skill I'd like for you to develop, using your intuition, using your gut, your not your fear gut, but your aware gut, to say, this is something I have to scroll past. This is something I can't participate in because it's not quite the truth. And if it's not quite the truth, then it's trying to sway you in one direction or another. And we don't need that pressure anymore. So that's what I mean when I take a break from the news and the social media. I inform myself, but I try not to listen to the opinions. I want to know what's going on. I want to know the conversations that people are having, but I don't necessarily want to feel like I have to agree with them. And I also want to know, um, that things are happening out there. People are losing their lives. People are losing their homes. I want to know about that stuff, and I want to add my vision. I want to add my prayer. I want to add my thoughts of a better world into what just happened, praying for the highest and the best for those people who are suffering. Um, because when they suffer, I'll be honest with you, when they suffer, I suffer. When they suffer, we suffer. We're all connected. And that's part of my empathic abilities, or in which I would love to have more people having these empathic abilities. And a lot of world leaders do not have empathic abilities, or the ability to be em, have I can say this, be not empathic, knowing everything beyond you, but have empathy, have compassion. And there are a lot of people that can't do that. So they just go from one thing to the next without taking in, how is this impacting the world? What am I creating with my words? I want you to know that you are creating with your thoughts, you are creating with your words. And this is the power of the choice that Heather talks about, that I'm talking about. Um, You don't have to choose between one thing or another. You don't have to say this is right and this is wrong. Just at this point, because the washing machine has got the chaos going and everything's so mixed up, the best choices are still on their way. So if you can't choose Democrats, you can't choose Republicans, understand that in your thought process, you can begin to build what you want to choose. And that will bring that best choice. It'll take some time into your view. It'll bring it into the world. So the best choices are still on their way. You don't have to choose anything right now, except to be, please choose to be kind, choose to be a good person, choose to use your highest morality that you have right now. And if that decision or morality takes you to a place where somebody else is being hurt or somebody else is getting confused, then step back and say, well, maybe I'm not connected into the highest morality. Maybe I'm not connected into my soul. Maybe I'm not connected into the highest and best. And I need to step back again, take a break, step back and find that quiet inner voice that's connected in your heart, that's aware, that's connected to your soul, your spirit, and then get the information from there and then speak from that place. Um, Encourage your loved ones and neighbors to hang in there for the change that is coming, the change that is on its way. Great change, good stuff's coming. But to shake up the world to get the good stuff out, well, it looks crazy. It looks scary. It looks daunting. And we can make, all people can make horrifying stories over something that needs to break up and move so we can bring the good change in. Um, the lack of compassion, the lack of empathy um, that exists in certain people so that they can move ahead and hurt other people, and it doesn't bother them one darn bit, even though somebody made it up as a law that you shouldn't do this and you're going against the law. It doesn't make sense because what you desire, what you want, the avarice and the greed, get get in the mind and color it as if it's your higher power speaking to you. And this is dangerous for all of us. If we argue against the avarice, if we argue against the greed, we need to be careful not to get roped in and go down that rabbit hole. We can say, this is wrong, this is unacceptable, this is not something I want to have in my world, but I'm not going to look at so much that I start to identify it. Do you see what I mean? If I'm gonna oppose something, I wanna make sure that what I oppose doesn't own me. And that's kind of the problem with what's happening in some of the thought forms is what we are opposing begins to own us. And I want to move to a place of what I believe or is a higher power, or it's not even a belief, it's a knowing of what I know to be a higher power. And that's not this behavior or this texture or this attitude is not part of where I'm traveling with my higher power. I move past it. And if I need help, can help somebody move past it, or if I can help somebody get safe, I will do that as long as that evil doesn't own me. So, what we need to do in this time is to not live by our emotions, but to live by our aware, thoughtful self. Where am I standing? Where is the north? Where's the storm coming from? And where is the highest ground to take so that we can all still learn and grow and love each other and be kind? Don't go it alone. Find the people that resonate with your values. Create your own community. I would love, love, love to, and invite more and more people into my community who want to go in the direction that I'm going in, which is to create heaven on earth, to be the highest power, live from my highest soul power. And one of the things that chaos can do is isolate ourselves from each other. So the challenge is find the people that resonate with your values and create a community so that you're not fighting this battle alone. God, universal, infinite love and light, has not forgotten us. We are loved. This love is living within all of us. Now is the time to remember remember this love, to live from this love, and bring it forward in our daily lives. And that's the other powerful choice that we can make to create the world that we want to create. We are not doing a spiritual bypass when we do this work. We are staying in the present moment to co-create the new world order that is aligned with the highest and best, better than I can imagine. And you are needed. You are needed to do this work. You are important and you are loved. And that's the place that I'm inviting you to go to in your mind and your spirit and your perceptions so that we can together create the world order that benefits everyone, that is in highest alignment with source, love, in divine unconditional love, and supports all living beings on this planet as best we can. It'll be easy to make those choices. If we make the choices I just described right now, those other choices will start to fall into place. And it will be easy to make them. It won't be a struggle. It won't be having to lobby in Congress to say this, we shouldn't do this because it's hurting other people or it's hurting the environment. It will be easier to say that, and it will be easier for people to take action on what is the best for humanity. And then when I say humanity, I mean the whole world, the whole globe, all living things, including the planet, that are benefiting us as human beings as we kind of mosey our way on through the world. We need to understand that what's around us is living energy. The animals, the plants, the planet itself, the rocks, the wind. We all know when the wind changes, holy cow, or the waters and all that stuff. When we are in relationship to our soul brings us into relationship to our environment. And that's where we're in relationship to all of humanity. And that's what I'm talking about. And and we're not even on that topic anymore because we're so busy with the chaos of the moment, the chaos of politics, the chaos of fear and self-righteous anger and all of this stuff. We need to bring this to an end. We need to close the book on this so we can get down to the real business at hand, the real work at hand. And I'm asking you to remember that. And I think I'm on a bit of a soapbox, but I hope that what I'm saying is making sense to a bunch of you. And because I'd like you to be in with me in creating this new world. And that's all I have for this session right now. I have lots of other ideas I'll be sharing with you over time. And I want to say that talking about this on a podcast, not so easy. So I really do want my community around me to help me be brave, help me say the things that need to be said, And when I hear you say the things that need to be said, it touches my heart. It helps me find courage. So for now, I want you guys to stay in that love, stay in that grace and that peace, stay in courage and connect to your soul because that's where the truth is. Your soul always know knows what to do. Just taking a quick little look at any of the questions coming in. Um, I just love the love that's coming in. I'm doing this Facebook Live here, and high vibe influences. Yeah, that's what I want to pull that up as opposed to low vibe influences. Uh, you know, it's a good comment here. We train ourselves to react to certain stimulus in certain ways, and we create belief structures to keep ourselves in that stimulus, even though it's no darn good for us. And again, take a break, step back, and say, so what's prodding me on, and what do I believe? If somebody's hitting you on the head with a hammer and you're standing there taking it, what belief system do you have within yourself that makes you stand there and keep taking the hammer on your head? th- self-reflection. And then when you find out that belief system that says I have to hurt and I have to let people hurt me or else I'm not a good person, change that belief system right now and find out what your soul really wants you to do. And your soul will say, can you move over? Can you get out of the way? Maybe you need to run away from this person, but don't stand in this pain. Don't stand in this danger. So wonderful comments, guys. What lots of love. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep working our way through and create a community. And there's lots of us out there to create the world that we want and love, and that's going to support and nurture all beings. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your love. And I'm signing off now.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.